she's been compared to some of the greatest singers of our time. And now you know why.
I'm crying 'cause
Her name is Melissa Jefferson, but she's known by her childhood nickname, Lizzo. And you might say this has been her year. She's still riding the wave of an acclaimed new album. And this summer, she had the #1 song and the cover of Elle magazine. Plus, she stole the show on MTV's Biggest Night.
girl, kick off your shoes, gotta take a deep breath, time to focus on
At 31, it seems Lizzo has finally arrived, though she's been here all along.
Do you feel like your career was a slow build or something that happened fairly quickly?
It's the slowest build of all time. It's the slowest burn. I've sang so many songs. I've been in so many different groups. I've written so many lyrics. I've played in so many cities. I've done so many tours. But nobody knows who I am until this year, globally or at least mainstream-wise. But would I have been able to maintain this type of mainstream success 10 years ago? Hell to the no.
You needed that 10 years.
I needed this 10 years. I feel like a master.
and you all can change the world.
She's also become a master of the positive attitude. In nearly every show, she leads the audience in her own personal mantra.
I love you. You are beautiful. And you can do anything.
Does it work?
It works because talking bad to yourself works. It's the antidote to, oh, so stupid. It's like, no, you deserve this. You're intelligent. Words are so powerful.
Say it good as hell.
And she knows just how powerful those words can be. After a lifetime spent listening to mean or even well-meaning comments about her weight.
It's like a little mosquito bite. Somebody's like, well, you a big girl, so you can never have short hair. You always gotta have a big hair because you're a big girl. And they say that lovingly, but I'm like, that's a little mosquito bite. You don't even know it's there, but soon you look up, you're covered in mosquito bites, and you're like, oh my God, I have all of these things, but they were so normalized to me because they were so innocent.
People meant well.
They meant well, but I had to like peel back a lot of layers. But unfortunately for me, when I was stripping back, I ended up at the bare bottom. I was like at the low of anything.
But it didn't start out that way. Lizzo was born in Detroit and grew up in the Houston suburbs.
I would walk to my best friend's house and we played Spice Girls and we made our own little girl groups. I was very occupied. I was very busy. I was writing novels.
Literally, you were writing novels.
I would stay up in that room all night. I had school the next morning, but I would be up like 4 in the morning, or sometimes when the sun comes up, just writing.
Her first exposure to music was in elementary school.
How did you start playing flute?
I started playing flute in intermediate school, which is like 5th and 6th grade. We had a really cool band. My band director, Mr. Browden, he would make us play all the songs on the radio and we would dance. So when we had concerts in the gym, the parents would come and they would just like get lit and be dancing in the stands, and it was like a concert. So everybody wanted to be in band.
Band was cool.
It was cool in 5th and 6th grade.
And then?
And then all of a sudden everybody left in like middle school, high school, but I stayed in it. So I remember in the 5th grade, I just wanted to be really good. I was like, I want to be really good at the flute. Everybody else was so bad. It was so hard to be good at it. It's a very difficult instrument. But I became like obsessed with being good.
How much did you practice?
A lot. Like that time of my life, I was playing a lot by ear. So I would like but I wouldn't play like songs on the radio. I'd play like James Galway, like The Man with the Golden Flute, and I would play the CD and I would have the sheet music and I would try to like play the sheet music, but it was so hard that I learned it by ear first, and then I would learn how to read the notation. So I was kind of like backwards.
So you did it in reverse.
Yeah.
You learned it by ear first, and then you learned the notes, how to
Right.
read music.
Yes, but I learned how to play like the Carnival of Venice, which is like this really showboaty, braggadocious flute virtuosic solo piece by the 7th grade. That was my 8th grade audition piece for high school, which was this insane like, and I learned that like by osmosis, basically, by listening to it, by trying to get the sounds down, and then I would read the sheet music. But I wanted to be the best at a very young age. So it was kind of reverse. And like by the time I got private lessons, they were like, whoa, like where did you learn technique? You're like she described me, Sydney Carlson, she was like, you're like a wild horse. Like, and that's an amazing thing because you have all this power and you have all this style, but we need to give you some technique. And so I had to actually go back and learn how to like play notes properly when I got older. It's wild.
Lizzo says her band director at Elle High School, Manny Gonzalez, helped give her the direction she needed.
I've had a lot of talks with my band director in here where he was like, you're always late, you're always daydreaming, but you're so talented, get it together. And those talks really impacted me, even though I was probably like...
He was formative to you, right?
Yes. He was like...
We brought him back.
How you doing? Oh my God, I'm so good! Oh my God!
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You've been doing good.
Wow, I did it, didn't I? You told my ass, you were like, get it together, girl, because you are special. Apply yourself. Those moments meant so much to me. Hi.
With Gonzalez's help, Lizzo went to the University of Houston on a music scholarship, majoring in classical flute.
What did you picture that you'd be doing as a career? Did you think flute would be the career?
Yes. I had like dreams of being in a symphony, and I was studying with the principal flutist for the Houston Ballet since junior year of high school. So she had put in my mind that I was gonna go to Paris after U of H and study at the Paris Conservatory, and I was gonna really hone in my flute skills, and I really saw myself sitting in a symphony. Like I wanted that. I didn't even want to be like a soloist. You know what I mean? Like there are flute soloists that are popping off and they stand in front of the big crowds and they just play with a pianist. That terrified me.
Really?
I didn't like that at all.
Why?
It's a lot of work. You gotta practice for a long time to get it right. And I didn't like that part. I really loved sitting in a symphony and sitting in an ensemble and playing music, and I would get goosebumps when we would play pieces.
But it was not to be. 2 years into her university studies, she dropped out of school. Still, her father, Michael, who was ill with congestive heart failure, urged her to stay with the flute.
He wanted me to perform and wear the little lavalier mic and just be playing through a synth, and he wanted me to innovate flute, and I was like, I'm gonna do all of this, and his health just declined and declined and declined, and I really just wanted to be able to afford to take care of him.
You wanted to save him.
I wanted to save him.
Michael Jefferson died in 2010, and Lizzo's world crumbled.
You know, like there's nothing anyone can do. And that, it just pissed me off. I was so mad. I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing anyone can do? I'm sorry. I think sometimes I get angry instead of sad because it's like a defense mechanism to be strong.
And you want to be strong.
Yeah. Well, I have to be. Like, I have to be strong. Because, like, life really doesn't give you an opportunity to show vulnerability. Life doesn't really give you a chance to let your guard down, you know?
Eventually, she picked herself up and started climbing the rungs of a music career through bouts of poverty and homelessness.
And you were sleeping in the car.
I couldn't legally sleep at the studios that my band rehearsed at, so sometimes I would sit in the parking lot, and, you know.
How'd you get through?
How?
Yeah.
It's a great question. People ask me that sometimes, and I don't have an answer because I barely got through. I called my mom, and I was like, I just want to be with Dad. I don't want to be here anymore. And she was like, oh my God, please just come home. Are you okay? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm so tired. I would never self-harm, but that's that point, that's that place that you get to where you're just like, there's gotta be like a better off life because this is so hard.
But she stayed with it, singing and touring with different groups for the better part of a decade, all the while struggling with crippling self-doubt.
I went to stay with my mom for a little bit for a summer, and I just disappeared.
What do you mean disappeared?
I stopped communicating with all of my friends. I stopped talking. I really stopped participating in like the real world. I had a whole life in Houston, and when I gave up on flute and when I stopped talking to my friends, I feel like that life just vanished.
So what'd you do?
I took a few months to go inside of myself and figure out what I was gonna do with my life, who I wanted to be. And for some really weird reason, I wanted to be a singer. And I hadn't sang any time before that. I rapped, played the flute, written songs, but I never sang.
Did you sing in church growing up?
Nope.
No.
None of that. So I decided I wanted to be a singer, so I would sing B-Day by Beyonce at night by myself outside.
What do you mean outside? Where would you stand?
So my mom, they had this like place in Aurora, Colorado. And at night, I would walk out and I would hike at like 10 p.m. And I would and it's like kind of like rural, so there weren't too many people around, and I would just listen to B-Day and I would walk and sing.
Walk and sing.
I would walk and sing, and it was not good. It was not good, I promise. There's stuff now, there's notes that I can hit now, but back then I wasn't hitting them notes. And I was like, I was delusional, but I wanted to be a singer. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to Houston, I'm gonna be a singer. So in 3 months, I went back to Houston, and I tried it all over again.
What happened?
Well, that was when I started becoming Lizzo and who I am today. Like, I was Lizzo in middle school, Lizzo in high school as like a nickname. But I was like, I'm Lizzo, you know, I'm in this, and I joined a rock band. First thing I did when I got back, I joined this rock band.
As a singer?
As a singer, and they did. And the crazy thing for me was, I was so shy, I was so nervous, but I was like, these people don't know who I am. These people have never met me before. This is your opportunity to just go crazy, and I did. So I just went off.
And it worked?
And they were like, we don't know what you said, but you killed it, so you're in the band. And I was like, yeah, because they were on Craigslist, I auditioned.
You found the band on Craigslist.
I did. I did.
And it worked.
And it worked. That was fun. I got confidence to be a front woman. I had confidence to express myself. I found how far my voice could go. I did a lot of screaming back then.
Just kind of testing to see?
Yeah, like the soulful voice that you hear now, I had to run before I could walk. So I was running, just like with the flute. I started off like a wild horse, and then my job or my life was refining, or my journey was refining. So I had to refine my flute sound, and I had to refine my singing voice too, because it was like, to like, okay, reel it in. This is not the Mars Volta. Like, find some tone, find your tone. And so I did. It was wild. There's pictures of me like on the floor, rolling around.
So the self-confidence, when you were younger, did you have self-confidence?
Well, I mean, when I was born, and then, you know, when I was precious and innocent, and then the world took my self-confidence away from me. Or, that's not true, the world stacked all of these insecurities on top of my self-confidence. So I had like so many layers.
Like what? What were you insecure about?
I was insecure about me. I was like, wow, this is it. This is what I was given in this world. I was insecure about my body. I was insecure about my hair, my smile, you know. I did not like I would be like, I was insecure about my personality, because I was so different. I was so nerdy, kind of dorky, in the way that I talked. I was insecure about my voice, everything.
what's deeper than the darkest, best kept secret.
Her career finally took off, she says, once she started to believe that beauty doesn't have a size.
The most beautiful thing that you ever seen.
You said you struggled with self-confidence. How did you change it?
It's not something that you really change. It's something that you address and work on. I had to address every layer of insecurity, because I can't just be like, all right, my arm's not jiggly and lumpy anymore. That's delusional. You have to be like, that's not ugly to me anymore, and it's not wrong to me. It's beautiful to me. And I think that is why I'm able to call myself fat, and people are like, no. Even my friends, I'll be like, bitch, you know I'm fat. And I'm like, don't say no. I am fat, I am beautiful. It doesn't matter. You know, I can also feel healthy and still be fat. I can be healthy and be fat. I can be beautiful in all of those things. I can be unhealthy and losing a ton of weight and still beautiful. You can be all of these things. You don't just have to be one thing. And I think it's because I learned to actually look all of my insecurities in the face, call them by their name, and fall in love with them.
Which is a process, as you said, and I'm sure it's an ongoing, this hasn't ended yet,
It ain't
right?
over.
It's a daily exercise.
I'm still doing it right now.
What do you think about being this kind of role model for body positivity?
I get nervous sometimes because I don't want things to become trendy.
Because if body positivity is in now, the fear is that at some point it won't be anymore.
Right. And that is something that I try to combat every day. Not on a personal, like individual level, just in general, by making sure that I'm putting myself out there in the world as this undeniable thing that is autonomous to me, and I'm not like subscribing to any type of hashtag or any particular movement. I don't move with other people, I just move with myself in my own lane. So it's not like, oh, all those girls that were body positive, you know, but it's like, no, then there was Lizzo who shot through during this body positive movement and made herself an undeniable piece of culture and an undeniable piece of history and music in the industry. And shout out the Flood!
Last month, Lizzo went back to the University of Houston and got a reception worthy of a superstar.
I want to play a piccolo so bad. But I'm scared because, I got lip gloss on. Oh, God.
The school's most famous dropout has become a role model.
You're not supposed to be happy all the time. You're not supposed to know what you're doing all the time, especially at this age. But not knowing what you're doing has nothing to do with where you're going. So I want you to know that. Cherish your journey and respect your journey. And keep playing your instrument, man, because people jealous of me, because I still play.
You could say this is Lizzo's moment, and it's one she wants to share with the world.
Hopefully, by existing, there can just be more opportunities for people that look like me that are, you know, beyond what a trend is, and that they're there on the merit of their talent, they're there on the merit of their beauty, and they're there because they're good enough.
Just like you are.
Yeah, I'm great.